Hey, what's up, guys? So this is going to be a message from my mom. Of course, I start these videos saying that my parents will never see these videos. I haven't spoken to my biological parents in years. My mother, I was her firstborn child. My mother suffered a lot of mental issues that eventually got me taken away from her, and I got placed in child protective services when I was around 8 years old. My mother had other kids too, my brother, who is a homosexual, and my sister she had these kids with my stepfather, who passed away from diabetes. So these kids grew up with no father. My brother, when it came to foster care, he ended up turning into a homosexual. For years, he didn't want to speak to me because he didn't know how I would take it. And I told him, I expressed to him, how I felt. And he could just hear that, like, my brother not going to tolerate this. He's always going to kind of have this in the back of his mind. And I always say, in a joking way, that what a coincidence that your dad is not around to see how you turned out. Because they used to... I told y'all, man, growing up a lot, I got mocked and made fun of in ways that it wasn't meant to directly hurt my feelings, but they would say certain things like, well, CJ not gonna have kids because CJ gonna want to take naps all the time, so the kids ain't nobody gonna be watching the kids. It's like, okay, but then when my younger brother, he's taking naps and doing all of this stuff like a growing boy does. Nobody said anything. Nobody said that, man, you eating a whole box of oatmeal pies and then you pass out and then you wake up and you really just don't want to do anything. Nobody said anything. Nothing. So when I would go to my mother's house, she lived in 5th Ward. And my stepfather lived with him as well. And when I would get visited or have to get picked up every other weekend and stuff like that, this is when they would do a lot of their assessments on how life is with my dad versus how life is with them. And I told y'all, the more mature I got, my mother did not like that I was turning out to be like my dad. Honest. I just wasn't with a lot of the bull crap. And so I started to turn out just like my dad, and as Hollywood and a lot of other places show you, like, you will be criticized for that if your mother is not a fan of your father, especially if they're divorced. My mother always expressed her compassion she still had for my dad, her frustration she still had with my dad, typical stuff. And a lot of it was comical, but a lot of it was, the type of woman you are, mom, my dad ain't trying to come home to this, this type of fussing and all this other stuff, always ready to fight and all of that. My dad is not like that. My dad, I told y'all, he made a promise to himself that he would not do to his wife and kids what my grandfather did to his wife and kids. So my mother always spoke ill about my dad, but then there were just times where she couldn't bring herself to do that because she knew my dad was a righteous man. My dad was taking me to church. My dad was not allowing me to live in fantasy land when it came to holidays like Christmas and stuff. So a lot of stuff my mom would be like, man, he turning you into a man, CJ. You got to appreciate that. But then other times she would be like, man, you not my son no more. He taking you away from me. And that was pretty much routine. I would go over my mom's house. The court had set up visiting arrangements that my mom, a lot of times, she just didn't respect. She would not show up at all. She would show up and like on Monday, she wouldn't want to bring me back to school, or a Sunday night, she wouldn't want to take me back to dad's. It's just a lot of stuff that she was just being a real knucklehead about. And so she used to tell me a lot of times, man, this stepmother that you got, CJ, she's not your mom. She doesn't love you. It would drive my mom insane. Almost to the point where my mother would threaten me either physically or materialistically, or with, like, if you call this woman mama one more time around me, you know, because I didn't understand, but as a kid, it hurt her. It hurt as a mother to hear your son call somebody else mom. So my mom was just...
Excuse me, would you like to support my cheer team today?
I'm good, baby. So my mom, that's how she was. You know, she and I didn't understand it because I was a kid. You know, like, why are you getting bothered? You know, you think I can go to my dad's house and be like, hey, what's up, Steph? Hell no. My dad would have been like, bro, you not calling her that, which I did. I did for a little bit. But it started to wear on me. You know, all my brothers and stuff call my dad. All my brothers, only had 2. But I started calling their mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted that shit to feel normal. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be looked at as, you know, basically letting my mom influence me to the point where I am being disrespectful by not calling this woman mom or Miss Stephanie. So my mother would always tell me, yeah, you know, she's not your mom. She doesn't love you like I do. She, you know, and at the time, like I said, the way I was raised, my dad was like, bro, you ain't no victim. We don't do the victimhood around here. If something's going on with you as a kid, you need to check yourself, which is not totally true. So with my mother, my dad just really didn't even want to hear it. He would say, what happens in my house happens in my house. What happens in her house, I don't give a damn. But you are not supposed to go to school. What's up, brother? I'm all right, man. You're not supposed to be doing that out of respect for my family. I'm teaching you manly principles that you don't go to somebody else's house and criticize them in their own house. You just don't do nothing like that. So that's what my mom was just, you know, difficult to deal with, you know. And then my mom expressed just her love for me and her willingness to do whatever she had to do to protect me. That's really, I could look at it like that. I could look at it in a case of like, oh, well, you just causing problems. Or I can look at it the way I was supposed to look at it, and I can you know, look at it like that and have it affect me all the time. Or I can look at it for what it is, which is like, you know, like you really causing problems in my dad's family.